Hi guys, and welcome to another Conversations with God's Great Idea. My name is Mario, and I am the leader of this conversation. And with me, I've got some amazing human beings who will help us along with the conversation. And hello to everybody here online as well. First of all, let me do a little cleanup here. We started about 4 minutes late. We say that we're going to start at 7 o'clock. We started a little bit late. That doesn't work. But I want to thank you guys for being here for me, and I promise going forward that we will start at 7 p.m. As we say we will, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So the conversation, what is God's great idea, and what does the conversation with God's great idea really cover? Well, you know, God's great idea was to make us in His image and likeness. And as we master getting out of the way and letting the God in us move, people and ourselves, we experience ourselves and people experience us as power and love and freedom and full self-expression. And as a result, we get to live powerful lives and fulfill our true in God. And so, guys, what's our homework? What was our homework for last week? We're going to talk about our homework really quickly, and then we're going to go into the topic. You know, over the last few weeks, we've talked about the Declaration Revelation. And really it was a revelation that I had in how I could create life by really declaring who I am every day, and because that's how God creates. He creates with His Word, and we get to create with our Word as well. And so going along with this subject, you know, really creating a lifestyle of declaring, a lifestyle of creating how life looks for us, we had homework from last week. And so the homework was, we had 3 things to look at. 1, where have you accepted that you are a fixed way of being that doesn't work? Okay, so like we have this way of being. Let me give you some background if this is your first time in this conversation. You know, for myself, I thought I was an introvert. I considered myself an introvert, like someone who just couldn't be around people, and so that's all I saw myself as, and there was no way I was going to be able to be with people. And then when I discovered that I didn't have to be that way, that as a human being, that I get to say who I am in any moment, how amazing is that? That I didn't have to be this introvert. And then how, you know, and so by taking on that way of being, I could take on another way of being, and the way of being I've taken on is love and community. Like I get to be love and I get to be community for other people. And guess what? There's no space for being an introvert in that. So no more introvert for me. So where have you said that you're a fixed way of being? Like, oh, you know, you could say, oh, I don't forgive people. I'm unforgiving naturally, or it takes me a long time, or I'm cold when I first meet somebody, or whatever it is that you said about yourself. Like, look at that area. That's what the homework was. Number 2, declare a new way of being on GGI, on God's Great Idea, on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/God's Great Idea. You can post your declaration there. And number 3, if this way of being has impacted anyone else, take responsibility and share your new way of being with them. So if you've been unforgiving to somebody, you can say, hey, look, I'm not going to be unforgiving to you anymore. I'm going to always forgive you. We're going to get past whatever it is right away, and I'm not going to kill you off. I'm not going to write you off in life. Okay? So has anybody done the homework? Can someone think of where the homework came in handy? And this is for you guys online as well. I'm going to take one person who wants to share.
Yes.
Sweet. All right, get her. Can you bring her online?
Yes, of course. All right, guys, unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hey, Des.
Hi, everybody. So this is for the homework, right?
Hold on, Des. Give us 1 second. We're kind of having a difficulty here with the audio.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Talk.
I'm not muted.
Hold on, we can hear you. Hold on 1 second. Just 1 second. Make sure that the audio is fine here. Oh, it switched back. There it goes. All right, great. Hey, Des.
Hi. Hi. So,
Hi.
Awesome.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, it's just a homework. Actually, kind of by mistake, but really I remembered afterwards. I was like, okay, great. So the fixed way of being was, I've always said that I'm cold or like distant, you know, like when I'm upset, like I'm cold. and that's who I am. That's what I get to be. Um, and it really affects people because I just really close off, and I don't even say what's wrong or what's happening, and I just really go inward, and it makes people confused. So I told my fiance, like, I had to have that conversation for the homework, because that's the impact on him. He gets confused, and he's like, I don't know what's happening, and I feel that something's wrong, and can you tell me? And that's what I get. I get cold. So the conversation I had was, this is my sixth way of being, and I've been doing that for many, many years, and I get that that's the impact. You feel like you don't feel my love. You don't get to know what's happening with me. And I'm not sure how to stop doing that except, like doing it less than I usually do it. So what actually happened is I got upset at him and then didn't say anything, got cold. And then when he reached me after us having this conversation, instead of just continuing to be cold for the whole day, my sixth way of being, the only thing I could really do was pray. Remember I asked you last week, like, what to do.
Yeah.
So I just prayed, like, all right, please get me out of my own way. Like, let it not this be about me. So at least, so I told him exactly what I was upset about, which is something that I wouldn't have done. And it would have probably taken me a whole day to say. Now, it didn't completely solve the problem, but it really at least gave him something. So that was my homework. That was it. That's what I did.
Good for you. Great. So, okay, so we're number 3 where it says, if this was your way of being and it's impacted someone, take responsibility and share your new way of being with them. What's that new way of being? Did you share that, and did you create something new with him over there, and what did that look like, and how you respond to that, and if that happened?
So, yeah, so what I created was to be in communication. So that was like the most that I could do at that moment, It was so hard for me to do. It really took something. It really, really took, like, me, physically, I felt like this, like, strain. And that's what I had created with him, to just at least say something. And so the result was that he wasn't in the dark anymore, and that it took a lot less time. Like, we didn't actually argue. He knew what was going up, and he didn't get to just be out of the loop for a whole day. So, and at the end of the day, we resolved it a lot quicker than we would have in the past.
I got it. That's excellent. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And I know he's thankful for that.
It took a lot.
I know it took something, and that's the beautiful part, is like, it really does take something to shift to, it takes something and it takes nothing at the same time, right? To transform an area, because we're so used to it. It's our default, But then just the moment that you got out of that, it gets easier and easier, doesn't it? It's just like, do it again. Let's keep doing that. Like, keep reporting. I want to hear all about it, because I know James is going to be very thankful for this homework that we have. We'll keep doing this thing. Thank you for sharing, Des. You're amazing. Thank you so much for taking it on and for sharing that, because it really does. There are a lot of us who do that. We get cold and we disappear for a day, 24 hours, 6 hours, whatever it may be for people, right? We shut down. We go inward, and we forget about the people outside. And we don't want to do that, because then that means that we're not being who we say we want to be, which is love, or whatever it means, open, or whatever it is that we're creating out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're so
It
great.
made a whole difference. It was, it just really made a big difference to be able to remember what you had said to pray. And I did that, and at least that gave me a little leeway. And like, okay, I could do this.
Yeah. And it's like that's the source. Like when we get back to the source of it all, Father means source. It really does. And our Father God, there's the source, our God. It really is. There's no better way to get strengthened to do something that we wouldn't have otherwise done. It's all in Him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, guys. So we're gonna continue. To get an opportunity, give Des some love. She's on the Facebook page, facebook.com/God's Great Idea. We're back over there now, guys. If you're wondering why we're not on the app anymore, we're on the Facebook page. It's because we want people to see what we're doing out there in the world. We've been keeping it to ourselves. A couple hundred of us doing it by ourselves, and it's not happening out there in the world. So now we're getting back out there with the world because that's what we're out to transform, our world. Isn't that right? It's not just me and my four and no more, is it? It's about the world. That's what we're here for. We're here for transformation. So let's go out there and make a difference with the world. Anyway, guys, so our series has been the Declaration Revelation. We've been doing this series, the Declaration Revelation. It was that I had a revelation about what the power there was in declaring myself every single day, creating myself every day. And so today we're going to continue the series. Last time we talked about the power of I am, and continuing on in that same stream of thought, that same thread of thought, is the power of being our word. So obviously continuing on that train of thought is, we're talking about these powerful I am statements that we make every day. Like I'm love, I'm clarity, I am peace, I am joy. Like what does that mean? And then, so that's the beginning of it all, and then taking it to the next level is where it really has power. So, I just want to represent you to what the power of I am was in the first place. Why is I am so important? Well, if you remember in Exodus 3:13 and 14, God comes to Moses and he says, Moses, go let my people go, right? And so, so Moses goes to God and he says, who should I say sent me? And he says, tell them I am who I am sent you. I am has sent me to you. That's what you should say. And so we know that God is the great I am. He is the great I am. Okay? He is I am that I am. And in so understanding that, guys, we understand the nature of God. He's saying, you can't put me in a box. It's like we know that that Poseidon was, Poseidon as far as in Greek legend is the god of the sea. That's all he was. That's what he was. But our God, the real God, I am that I am, is the God of the universe, God of everything. And he can be whatever we need him to be, anytime, anywhere, any situation, anything that we need. And what's left there for us in this nature is to understand that we can actually, that there's a part of that nature in us. We had it that we're a fixed way of being, but really we can create ourselves and be anything in any moment that we need to be. And so that is what the beauty of I am is. When we put anything we put after that I am is something that we can presence and that we can bring about in our being. And whatever you can create inside here, you can make happen outside in the world because everything comes with our being. So, and we see many instances of where this same technology, and I call it technology because it's not God just, God doesn't just, he doesn't just make laws for himself and leave it for everybody else and say, hey, there are laws for me and then there are laws for you. No. It's like he makes laws, and these are the laws of the universe, and then we all live into them, and then we all do the same thing. It's like, how did he create? He spoke his word, and he made those words come to pass. Through our word, through the word that we speak, the word that we live is how we're able to create in the world. That's how he created. The same reason and the same way that even though he's God, and he can say, okay, yeah, man messed up. if you will, if you looked at the Genesis story of how man fell from grace with God, how it said that they had a covenant. And when the covenant was broken between man and God, it was that someone had to die. Someone had to die. And instead of God saying, okay, it was my word that I gave, so I'm just going to, let's just do a do-over, right? No, there's no do-over. He says, I'm going to go ahead and die for you. Someone's got to die, I'll do it. It's his word. And as the Bible says that his word cannot fail. And that's how our word should be, that it not fail. And if we lived our life as though our word wouldn't fail, man, what could we create in the world? So I want to talk to you more about how powerful our words can be to create the things that we want in our world. Like really, word creates world. So there are multiple instances in the Bible. I mean, we could go throughout the entire Bible and find instances where God specifically renames people. And he doesn't just rename them so that he could say, oh, I didn't like your name, that name's not cool. No, he renames them for a purpose, like Jacob. So here we go in Genesis 32:28. Then the man said, your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. So look, Jacob meant, I don't know if you know the story, but Jacob is who became the tribe of Israel, right? Like this is Israel, okay? And the thing about the name Jacob, it means deceiver. That's what it means. Can you imagine going through a life with it? I mean, that's like I don't want to call anybody's name out that I don't like, but I mean, it's like that's the worst name you could possibly ever have, right? It's like who would, I mean, like there's got to be some people who really just don't like their parents for the names that they've gotten, but I bet Jacob, being called deceiver every day of his life, really didn't really appreciate that. But I tell you what, when he got renamed, what he got renamed, the Bible says, is that he was called the one who struggles with God. But here's what's more important about what he was called when he was renamed to Israel. He was called the one who succeeds with God. It means the triumphant one with God. That's literally what it means. That means, I mean, with a name like that, you walk into a room, you're like, hey, Israel here. That's it. You know, it's like, I triumph. I'm a triumphant with God. I'm a winner with God. What's up? That's all I got to say. Just call my name. You know who I am. You know, it's like there's no, I mean, just call I mean, I don't even have to walk out. I mean, if I'm in a boxing match, just call my name out. You know, that's it. You know, by the time I get there, I mean, the guys, you know, I'm triumphant with God. There's no better name than that. You know. But God changed his name and his destiny. That I am, whatever came after that, I am Israel, I am triumphant with God. Come on, it doesn't get better than that. Every time he said his name, I am triumphant with God. Wow, that's powerful. How many of you get to say that every day of your life? And then someone calls you like, triumphant with God, who is he? Oh, that's me. Hi, I'm triumphant with God. You know, that's the power of what that is. But I want to go into the story because we saw that also with Abraham. God changed his name from Abram to Abraham, and he went from being, you know, Abram to being the father of many nations, and he was calling himself every day the father of many nations. It's a technology. It's a principle that God put into existence, and it continues on, and he uses that same principle to create miracles in the world. Are you going to use that same principle to create miracles in your life? Are you going to take his word and add it to your word, into your life, into your energy, into your word, your actions, and walk in it or not? That's the reality of what we have as children of God, what we can do. So here's what I'm going to, because the name of this particular section of what we're covering is called Be in Your Word. So what do I mean by that? Where does the real power come from? Well, the Bible says in John 1 through 3, in the beginning was the Word, it existed, and the Word was with God, it was there with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Now, there are multiple ways to look at this scripture, and there are multiple different angles of this. It's powerful. But really what I want to get is that nothing's created without the Word. Period. Nothing was created without it. And again, what's powerful about this is that the Bible doesn't just say that it was with him, but the Word was God. That's so powerful to me, because we need to get that. For me, what I got out of it that was powerful was that, my sister came to me the other day and she said, only God is love. How am I going to be love? she said that. And I probably shouldn't have said it about my sister first. But then I'm thinking to myself, that's why, she's like, you can put on love like a shirt. You can try to walk in love, And I really got in that moment. I was like, that's why you're so mean sometimes to people. And she's a wonderful human being. Let me say that. She really is. She's a wonderful human being. But, in the times where it's easy to take your shirt off and it's not easy to walk that path of love, we get to be love anyway. See, being is a whole nother level. It's in my DNA. That means if you take a piece of me, you're going to see love written inside of it, because that's who I am. That means that when something happens and someone yells at me, spits in my eye, or whatever it may be, that love shows up when I'm being love. There's no excuse. You can't take it off, because that's who I am. Why would you want to be love? God is love. Thank God, God is love. You know what that means? That's how powerful that is. See, what I find with myself is that I don't, a lot of time, I don't want to take on the responsibility. I'm like, oh, that's great, that's God. Oh, thank God, God is love, But I don't want to be that. I don't want to be responsible for what that really means in my life. Because if I have to be it, then that means I'm it everywhere, no matter what the situation is. But guess what, guys? That's also our responsibility, but it's also our power. Because if you could really get that when you become the Word, like it's talking about in John 1:1, when you become the Word, then all of a sudden it's like with you with tremendous amount of power. So let me say it this way, because I thought about it and I was going to put a slide on with it. I just didn't have time. I didn't do it, is what happened. But, I was thinking about when I throw a punch. I fought MMA. No, I'm not going to brag, but I did pretty well. I fought in MMA for quite a while. Huh?
I could take it.
You could try. Says you can take me. Come on, man. No, but this is, what I really, it's like there's a difference between, throwing a punch, throwing a jab, and really just putting your arm out there and really putting your weight behind your punch. It's a really big difference. When my body comes with that punch, it's coming with a wallop. It's coming with a wallop. It's different. It's a completely different thing altogether. When I put my weight behind my punch, it's a different thing altogether. When I shift my hips, it's a completely different feeling. It's different. When I come with my being in that punch, it's going to be different. See, I hear some people say, I've heard someone say, I went out there and I said I was going to be disciplined, but then discipline didn't show up. It's like when I said, it's like when we go out there and we don't become something. It's like, oh yeah, I said I was going to be love for them, or I said I was going to, be love for them, or I was going to be, I was going to walk in love with them, or whatever. And then it didn't work out. They said something and I got upset. But the truth of the matter is, when you are love, nothing's going to come out of you but love. If you squeeze an orange, what's coming out? Orange juice. That's it. I'm not going to squeeze a grape and get orange juice. It's just what it is. So when I'm being what I say I am, when things get rough and when life squeezes, all it's going to get is what I am. Yes, true self comes out in the roughest times and the hardest moments of life. So by taking on that thing, like saying, hey, you know what, I am not, like taking on that I am going to be love in life, that's what's going to make a difference. So, you know, the Bible says in 1 John 4:4, John says this, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. You know, I think about a skunk. Yeah, have you ever had a skunk? Has anybody? I went camping one time. It was the last time I ever went camping because I came across a skunk, right? And listen, this skunk was right by our campgrounds, and let me tell you something. What was in that skunk was greater than what was that was in everything that was around that skunk. I mean, in all good. I mean, the reality was when he let loose, it was done. You know, hashtag done. Hashtag oxygen. You know, it's like it was over. You know, because the reality of this situation was that, you know, this is how we are when we, like, so this scripture says, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. Who we are being, when we get squeezed, what's going to come out of us? Who is in us? Is God going to come out of us? Is love going to come out of us? Is patience going to come out of us? Is peace going to come out of us? What's going to come out of us because of who we are being? Listen, who we are creates our world. There's no getting around it. That's the technology. That's why the Bible says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. When he said that word, he was already being that. What we get to create every single day is we get to create who we're being in the world. And by taking it on, we get to put our being behind our punches, our being behind our declarations. So when I take on being an athlete, for example, I said this before when we were talking to Isabel. You know, I said this last week, and it was so true. It's like when I looked at myself as an athlete, I found the time to work out. You know, like I found it. It didn't matter what was going on. I'm an athlete. I'm going to work out. I'm going to find the time to do the cardio that I need to do, to get stronger, to do the workouts I need to do. What kind of athlete do you know doesn't work out? Right? It's like, but it wasn't. It's not just that. It's everything. What kind of, how can love be when I'm out there being hatred? No, love and hate can't be in the same space. Light and darkness can't be in the same space. Either I'm being light or I'm being darkness. That's it. There's no in between. So if I say that I'm light, then only light can show up in that moment. Fresh and salt water can't come from the same spring. It's one or the other. And so it's like when we take on and have it be our being, that we are that thing that we call ourselves to be. So let's talk about that a little bit more, because you know there's a little bit of this technology, and somebody's like, okay, how do I be this then? Well, first of all, it's obviously like looking at our declarations. Our declarations is where we want to start. It was distorting the screen, so I didn't want to put it on. So you know, we go to James 3:3, and it talks about how the bit of a horse. We put the bit in the mouth of a horse to make them obey us. So that little bitty bit moves the entire horse's body in one direction or the other. The same way that the rudder of a boat makes that boat, the entire mass of that boat move in one direction. That is what our declarations do. That's giving our word. It's talking about the word. The tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts, it says. That's what we do with our declarations. We aim everything, all of our being, into that one thing. And that's where the power comes from in who we're being in life. So, you know, I want to go to this because people are like, okay, how do I be my word? You know, and for me, guys, this is one of the things that was really powerful for me. And I'm telling you, in everything I've discovered is that it's really like life is actually pretty simple. It's not really as difficult as we make it out to be. I'm going to go back to Joshua 1:8 because he's talking about success here. And the Bible says in Joshua 1:8, this is what God says to Joshua: keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night so that you may be careful to do everything written in it, and then you will be prosperous and successful. Now, things that are mentioned in this one little passage. He says, meditate on it. First he says, keep this book always on your lips. Speak about it in your speaking. Let it be in your speaking, your words. Meditate on it, your thoughts. And lastly, he says, to be careful to do everything written in it, your actions. When love shows up for me, I was saying this to somebody, what does it look like? You know, I said this, I was talking to somebody earlier today. I was on a call with some very good friends of mine who I'm coaching through a tough time in their marriage right now. And, you know, I said, and we created that who they were going to be for each other is love and partnership. And in that moment, it's like, what does love and partnership look like? Because there's one thing to say it, it's a concept, right? But what does love and partnership really look like? What does it look like on the court? Like, what does it look like out here? I'm looking at it, what does it look like? You know, it looks a certain way, it has a certain taste, it smells a certain way. You know, when I'm thinking about love and I'm speaking about love in our relationship, it only looks one way. Like when my mouth speaks hatred, that's all that I can ever be. That's what's coming out of my soul. The Bible says that, you know, there's a lot of things the Bible says, but out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. You know, what is coming out of you? Of course, what you're speaking is going to be telling us what's going on in there. So if you're speaking this thing powerfully about love, about walking in love with that person, that means that no hatred could come out of you, that no complaint about that person, no drama, none of that stuff. It's just love. You're looking for what's positive in that human being, that other person over there. And then there's, you know, what are you thinking about? Obviously, that's coming from what you're thinking about, but really what's on the court? What does love look like? And somebody's yelling at you sometimes, and then you're getting them. You're getting what's wrong, what's going on over there that has that person want to hurt me? What are they dealing with? That's love. What does it look like? Empathy. What does it look like? You know? That's right. Putting them first. Love your neighbor as yourself. Like if I were going through what this guy is going through, like to be yelling this much, there must be something going on over there. That's love. So, you know, I want to keep on going, moving on, because, and I want to open the floor, guys, because there's something about being our word that powerfully moves us forward in the creating in life that wouldn't happen otherwise. So, you know, I want to read another scripture because I'm talking about in the subject of being your word and about the technology that God uses. He says, you know, he says to in Joel, they're getting ready to go to war, and he's turned farmers into warriors. And he says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. I shared this before. And he says, let the weakling say, I am strong. Now, there's a way I'm going to be when I know that I'm strong. I mean, my chest is going to be high. I'm going to be bumping into people like you're in my way. You know, like there's a way I'm going to be that has me. I'm not going to go into battle trembling. I'm going to go in like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. You put me in the octagon in a ring, and I'm going to say, yeah, you know, God bless that guy over there. Somebody be ready for him to receive him. You know, that's what I'm going to say, right? If that's what it is. Because I know that I'm strong. There's a way that I'm going to be. Fear is not going to enter into my mind. I'm not going to be talking anything fearful. I'm going to be being a certain way. And who I'm going to be being is I'm going to be being powerful. I'm going to be being strong in myself and who I'm being and in my actions, and my thoughts, my words, and my actions. All right, so I'm going to begin to open up the floor in just a little bit, but here's what I want us to get. To powerfully create, be your word in your thoughts, your words, and your actions. When we really take that on, guys, and we say, what is it to be? You know, I want to give you guys I want to say this because this was so big for me, is when, you know, I was thinking about my ex, you know, and because this is one of the more powerful stories or more powerful examples that I have of it, is like I said everything that I had said to her before. You know, I had said, hey, let's be there for our son. Let's have an amazing relationship. Let's be there for each other. You know, I had said that before, but it wasn't until the day that I became love that something shifted over there. It's like when I became love, not only was I just saying it with my mouth, but my whole entire being expressed it. It's like when I became love, it was like whatever she was saying, and look, she tried me. She tried me. You know, she said things that she knew would hurt me. She's known me for 15 years. We were friends before anything else. And she knew how to hurt me. And she tried. And she did hurt me. I was being tested. I was being tested, but I said I was going to be love and support for her. Because look, not even when she was saying those things to me or however it was during that time that she tested me, it didn't even matter because it didn't even enter in my mind anything negative about that. It was just like, man, I love this person. And what does love look like? It looks like getting what's over there with her, getting her pain, being with her, because that's what love does. Love doesn't defend itself. It doesn't need to. It doesn't. It gets what's going on with the other person over there. And the moment that there was nothing in me, like it wasn't even a resistance to what she was saying or how she was being. The moment that happened, that I was just being love, in that moment, it was like everything just disappeared and she really got it. And so everything I was saying was the same thing I had said before, but somehow this time it was different because I was being love. The being of love is much more powerful, guys. The being of love, the being of whatever it is that you're out to cause, patience, the being of joy, the being that only can take your joy. It's a being. It's a way. They call it the fruit of the Spirit because it's really a fruit of who you're being, the Spirit. So here's the question. I'm opening up the floor. And the question is, what would change about your situation if you, quote unquote, became your word? So look at a situation in your life and talk about, like, if you became your word, if you took on in thought, word, and deed, like literally let it envelop you, like saturate you, that it is you, like it's in your DNA, it can't be taken out, like really give yourself and commit yourself to your word in that way, that it is totally you. Like what would shift? What would transform about that situation if you became your word?
What's up, guys? This is Carlos here. Well, I think the best example I could give about what would change about my situation if I just became a word, if I just put my word on me, like if it were my new skin. You know, I declare every day that I am detachment, almost every day actually, and sometimes, well, most of the times are not, I am not detachment. I am just not. I realize that. I get it. And I'm just not detachment because I'm doing something during the day, whatever it is, and then whatever comes up to me, whatever situation, whatever difficult situation presents itself to me, I just take it personal. I just see it as, there's something wrong with me. I just see it as I care too much, I just care too much. And even the smallest thing that, like, for example, I'm reading my emails and I'm so OCD that I cannot have unread emails. It's like I get stressed about having unread emails. It's like, why? And so I just ask myself, this stupid thing, this is like the most stupid situation that I could ever be in. I just care too much about it, and it's just that I'm not detachment. I'm not detached from it. I'm not detached from any situation that presents itself to me. And it's not just saying, I just don't care. No, detachment is it has more to it. It's just simply acknowledging that even though that situation is there, it's not going to change your word. It's not going to change your love. It's not going to change anything about you, unless you let it change it. It should change you. And that's what detachment is for me. So if I became detachment, if I just put it on like my new skin, um, I would just be I would just live a life full of free, completely stress free. I would not be stressed up about anything. I just like, oh man, I would just like be relaxed, and it's like I said, it's not that I don't care. It's just I wouldn't be stressed. I wouldn't have this feeling inside of me that's eating me out that I have to do it. So yeah, I mean that's basically it.
That would make a big difference.
It would, yes.
Thanks. That's really great, Carlos, because what I really got was I got how we get. I mean, I'm like that too. I'm not. There's no peace there. Like this peace stops. Like sometimes there are moments where I say I'm gonna be like today I'm peace, and it's like I'm not peace. It's like, you get that feeling in your head, like it's not a headache, but it's like like you feel like it's like that stress headache kind of thing going on, and you're like, I'm not being peace. Peace would not feel this way right now. Like this, that would not be present. And look, guys, it's not a feeling either. Being is not a feeling. Like there's, it's like being a leader. It's like sometimes I don't feel like being a leader. I'm like, this is a thankless job, man. When it's all, thank you. It's all you. When it's good, it's good, and when it's bad, it is bad, man. I'm telling you.
When I be positive
Yes.
and it's coming from my heart, so I declare when I'm in that mood, in that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, guys, here's the thing: is that we can be that.
Yeah.
It's like Sarah was saying. It's like sometimes you feel it, and sometimes you don't feel it. But it's who we get to be. So what does it look like? What is it? See, because when those are moments when I don't feel peace, that's when I really need to be it. When I don't feel like peace is when I really need to be peace, And like, what is it to be peace? And honestly, guys, you want to transform your life, then get out of the default. How do you get out of the default? By declaring what you would not be doing otherwise. When you know you're about to get into, like right now after this call, I have to get on a call with one of my participants, somebody I'm coaching, a mentorship client. Very, very, it's going to, and there's something that they have to complete, right? Which means that I'm going to have to be love for them. And they may point their finger at me, and they may accuse me of things, and however else it looks. And and what I've declared for myself is, I'm just going to be love. So in every moment of that call, in every moment of that meeting, what's going to show up for me is love. Now, how am I going to make that be possible? That means that it's intentionally me while on that call. What does love look like? Well, love looks like really getting them. That's what it looks like for me. Like that's me being love. Yeah, it's something that I'm doing, but I'm really being it in every part of there's only 3 things that you can get out of me. You can get my thoughts, my words, and my actions. That's all you got. That's all I got. You take that away, that's all I got. That's what I got. I mean, even my words are spirit filled with life. I mean, that's what Jesus says anyway. His words are spirit filled with life. But I want you guys to get this is that in that moment I get to be that thing. So by being that thing, I'm meditating on it. I'm thinking about it. When I say meditate, it doesn't mean like I'm like got my legs crossed and no, it's like, okay, I'm love. I got it. So what are they going through? What does that look like for me? Yeah, she must really be going through something right now. Okay, what is it? Okay, she's angry. What is she angry about? Okay, she's dealing with this. What is she dealing with? Like I am in the moment being love. Yes. You just shout out some good stuff. All the way over there, nobody's here. It's like, it's like, and it's you're great, John. And it's like, that's what I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be love. And the only way that that conversation is gonna go the way it's supposed to go is when I intentionally take actions. Like, if you're with your partner and your partner's yelling and screaming at you, there are things that I do. I got cues. There are things that I do. First of all, in the world of what are my thoughts? My thought is, okay, what's going on with that person over there? That's what it looks like for me. How are they? How can I love you. I'm going to make it work. We're going to figure this out. What am I saying to them? I'm getting them. I'm telling them that I love them, and I'm getting whatever's going on. I'm creating whatever is going on over there so that they get to see that I get them. I'm being a peacemaker. That's exactly right. Man, you're good. That came from our Peacemaker series. Really great. And lastly, I always do something. There's always physical. I always give a physical touch. That's just how I express love. So I may just tap them on the shoulder, or something. I'll be present because, when you're upset, you don't touch anybody. You know what? Don't touch me. It's like, yeah, me, right? But if that love is present, I'm there. If they allow me to, I'm going to be present. I'm going to be in proximity. I'm going to be what love would be. What does it look like? Right? So in that way, I'm being, in every part of who I can be, I am being love in that moment. And that's what you can expect that I'm going to be that way on this call. And no matter what happens, as long as I stay in that space of thinking and speaking and doing in that world, there's nothing that's going to take me out of that. There's no space for anything else to come in. And I'm not saying, look, guys, you're going to wander in and out of it all day long. But I'm telling you, if you live your life in a way that you take on being, like it's a commitment of your being, your whole entire world will transform. So I know that, do we have somebody who wanted to?
No, actually, no.
We just took Daz off?
Yeah, like, the only thing was just Daz pointing out that that she couldn't hear Sarah.
Okay.
Spoke, but,
yeah, Sarah's she's the quiet wisdom. The silent wisdom. Should see that smile. Guys, and I want you guys to share. So I'm going to get back to it. I want you guys to open up about it because it is really something. How would life transform? What would transform about a situation you're dealing with if you became your word? I want you guys to open that up because we're not there yet, and this is a powerful subject and why we declare who we are going to be, because being is what actually makes the biggest difference in declaration, because we can't control what's out there. You get that? Like how we control what's out there is by controlling what's in here.
I'm good in that.
You're good at that? Sarah's very good at that. But
Trust me, because I have in my work situation that I can control,
and you be your word.
Of course.
I love that.
Always.
That's it. And she is, guys. If you see, she just love. She's just love, and she's just peace.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Yes, it is.
Peace and love. Always smiling. Always smiling. Because that's what, when I think about joy, that's what joy looks like to me. It looks like someone smiling and it's just, just seeing God in everybody and just being like I don't know, just so pleasantly entertained by everything that's around. I don't know why, but that's what I see as joy. Like everything is new, when I think about what joy is. But anyway, the conversation has been about, it's been about what it takes for us to be our word and really taking it on. Guys, there are things that we can do that, guys, do you get that being is where everything comes from? Like we can't control anything else. It's like, and I don't want to, anyway. What had Donald Trump be able to go bankrupt and just a couple years later be a billionaire again? And why is it that people who win the lottery, they can win $100 million and a couple of years later be broke again? It's in the being, man. It's in the being. It's not in the have. It's not even the do. Some of them try to do right. I'm telling you, it's in your being. It's who you're being. It attracts and it draws to you the things that you are. If you want to shift your life and you want life to really shift in a major way, then you got to shift your being. It's got to be a shift in who you're being. So if you want love to show up in your life, be love. And if you want peace to show up in your life, be peace. And if you want to have abundance show up in your life, something that we generally don't talk about, but be abundance. What does that look like? Being all things to all people. Like really making a difference for other people out there, making abundance possible for them. And I promise you that abundance will show up for you. They say that the way to have, and this is in the world of entrepreneurship, but the biggest, the bigger the problem you solve is the more money that you'll make. When you make the bigger difference for people, that's when you become successful in the world of whatever monetary supply has to offer you. So it's like, what do we get to do? It's always the same. It's about who we're being in our world and being in our lives. So I'm going to ask again, because you guys are being quiet out there. Where are my people out there? What would transform about your situation, whatever that situation is, if you became your word? If you literally took it on, like, I'm an athlete, I'm entrepreneur. What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? It means that you're constantly going. You're not getting stopped. You're coming up with new ideas, and you're coming out with new products. You're coming out with new ways to bring clientele and market in. You're not getting stopped. I'm successful. What does that look like? It means that you don't get stopped in failure. Whatever. I'm loved. That means that somebody comes at you with hate, and you're still love to them. Whatever it is. I'm peace. I'm joy. Whatever. That means you walk into a room and that be present. Guys, when you be something, you become the space at which it shows up. Adam? Great. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Mario?
Hey, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing good. Sorry I couldn't make it today. I actually have to jump off this call a little bit early today, so I wanted to make sure I inputted something.
Good. Please do.
So my friend became a dad today, Remy, and he had a baby, and I'm on the way to go see the baby. And Remy has been financially advising me, or actually really just coaching me on how to move my money around for the last 2 years. He got me out of debt, and he put me on a path to where I could actually see positive cash flow and all kinds of stuff. And in the last 4 months, being out of debt, I fall back into these habits of spending more money and things like that. And I'm on the way to see this guy with his baby and his, amazing life, how he set up everything. Everything is done. It's ready for his baby, Emma. Brand new house, paid off his last house, rented it out, paid off his 2 cars, designed her room and everything. And it was all through following this plan of just keeping his word. And I'm driving there thinking, man, he's 27 and I'm 30. And I'm like, when am I going to be a dad? I'll never be ready to be what he is and what he's provided for his his wife and himself and his family and his daughter if I don't keep my word with my budget, with my financial stuff and stuff like that. And the question that you had, what was the question? The exact question?
It's what would transform about your situation if you became the word?
Yeah. So that's it right there. It's like you're saying all this stuff, and right there it's hitting me. It's like what would transform for me is like the possibility of being a father.
Yeah.
You know, like that was like nuts for me. You know, our buddy Craig Duncan. You know, Craig. He looked at me one day and he just goes, Adam. He goes, you don't even know it, man. He's like, you make a great dad. And it was the first time in my life that I considered like, wow, do I want kids? You know? So, like, it's more than that now. It's like if I just am my word with this budget and this financial stuff, and I followed through with the things that I wanted to pursue, like for cash flow and capital, while I pursue my dream, like that's what becomes possible for me. Like owning a home, like paying it off in full, having a bedroom and a crib ready for my son or daughter, you know?
Yeah, man.
So, holy crap, you know?
Yeah. I got it. So, like, what would you have to be? Like, what does that mean? Like, the possibility of being a dad means being, like, what does that open up for you? Like, you know, you're talking about being so when you're being a dad, because you can be a dad, you know, like, what does that open up for you? Like, what is that thing that you're actually, like, becoming in your word that would have that thing move forward?
It's not all about me anymore, you know? It makes me, like it's about me, but it's not about me, you know? Like, I want to create something that continues to create, you know, like right now life for me, the way it looks, just kind of stops with me because it's all about me, you know. And it's like I just see like right now that, you know, what would be possible out of that is just is family, you know. It'd be family.
Yeah, I love that. So like you're like, so here's what I want to know really is like when you're being something, what is that being? Is it being responsible? Is it being a dad? Because like you could be a dad right now. Like you could be a dad waiting and expecting dad. You know what I mean? Like not expecting, but expect, like you're living your life like I'm a dad and I need to get myself together so that because I've got somebody to take care of. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what is it that you're holding on to? What's that word? Like, you know, Abraham was the father of many nations. You know, he didn't have a single kid yet, but he was the father of many nations in that moment already. You know, so what is it that you are standing in that's going to have your actions, your way of being, everything shift?
Man, just committed, responsible, disciplined, unstoppable. You know, just. It's a lot of that stuff right there, like determined and you know, ambitious. It's
and I'm cutting you off. And you know, do you get that if you're being a father, like right now, like if you're being a dad, right, a great dad right now, that would completely shift how you live your life.
Yeah, it would.
You get that? Like, wouldn't that really make a difference?
Yeah, it would. It would.
How would that shift? Like, what would change about the way that you spend money, for instance?
Oh man, I wouldn't spend $5 on coffee every single morning. You know.
You got me there.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't. There's a lot of things that I just spend $2 or $3 on daily. You know, like that add up over the years, not just a year. You know, something simple as consistent as like. You know, I know this is dumb, but like buying a bottle of water every morning instead of buying them in bulk and walking out of the house with one, you know?
Yeah.
Like things like that. Just like it's just I don't even account for the money. I just spend it, you know?
Wow. That's really powerful, Adam.
Yeah.
I got it. Are you taking that on?
I am. I've actually you know, I have meetings set up to meet with two more people that handle different aspects of money situations that I deal with, and I have to bring down expenses and all kind of stuff, man. So like it's just I'm taking it on already, I already made appointments like while we were on the phone. So
Wow. I'm proud of you, man. Thank you very much for that share. It's amazing, and please send my best to Rami.
I will. I got to jump out here a little early, guys, so I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, thank you, brother.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Guys, isn't that powerful? It just opens up a world when we become our word. Like it just opened up for me that if you take on being a great dad right now, no kid, no woman at the moment, if he took on being a great dad, then that would shift everything in how he lives life, what he does, what he's thinking about, who he's being, and eventually what he has, right? Like his entire world would somehow line up and align with who he's being, and he'd be ready. He'd be able to get that house with a nursery with the crib inside of it and all that stuff, and the rocking chair or whatever else that's important to him there, whatever it looks like for him. It's really great. Des?
Des, I saw you lowered your hand. Do you still want to share something? Let me unmute you real quick. She muted herself.
Not really.
Not really. Really? You always have something great to share.
I'm stuck somewhere, so I don't really have somewhere great to share.
Okay, I got it. There's always something confronting there. I'm sure you got plenty. You do not have a problem with speaking, that's for sure. That's not your issue. Well, okay, good. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that. If you want to share, you can share. Anyway.
I don't know if it goes with the question, so.
Okay.
That's what's up.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have somebody
Okay,
else,
go.
let them share.
I want to hear from you, Des. Come on now. I want to hear from you.
So, Kira, do the question again, and I'll try to see if it.
Okay, so what would transform about your situation if you became your word in this area? So what would the word be that you would give, and how would that transform your situation?
Okay, so the word it's just being love, right? And I've been being that for a while now, and it's actually really really transformative in my life and my family and my friends and all aspects, except for this one person. And then so I'm just stuck in what is there, like if I've been being love consistently, is there a point where, okay, I just gotta like not be attached to be love there?
Yeah,
You
always have a
get
tough
that?
question. Thanks, Des. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Just kidding.
I told you it was confusing.
No, it's great. It's not confusing at all. And so there are times where where love is like where you love somebody and you're there for them, right? And their love looks a lot of different ways. You guys know that? Like it looks a lot of different ways. That's why it's easier to be loved than to do love. It's like being loved means that, however life shows up is I'm going to be able to deal with it wherever it's at. As opposed to just doing love or, loving somebody, it's, that's great too, but it's just not, it's different. You don't know how it's going to show up. And sometimes being loved for somebody is stepping back, or not stepping back, but allowing them to step back. Does that make sense? Is that along lines with what you're saying, or no?
I guess, yeah.
Because I have had situations. I'm gonna give you a specific situation. You know, I had a friend in my life who, I mean, we were good friends. We hung out a lot back in the day, and we just kind of grew apart, you know. And then we got back in contact together, and he was like a brother to me. And then, you know, he just really he got jealous. He got jealous about my life, you know, and it was just, you know, and I was there for him, and I was being loved for him, and it was just a lot of jealousy and, you know, just outbursts of anger, and you know, just that kind of situation that was showing up, and I was just trying to get him and get wherever he was at. And then there came a moment where it was just like, okay, well, I love this guy, and whatever he's dealing with, he's got to deal with, and when he's ready to deal with it with me, I'm going to be here. And that's exactly what I did. You know?
So
and
yeah, so that's the situation. And then, so what did you do exactly? Did you not talk to him anymore?
no, I mean, I didn't take my heart away from him, because that wouldn't be love now, would it? What
right.
I did is,
so that's what I'm dealing with, you know, with that part.
yeah, I don't take my heart away. I just say, hey, look, when you're ready, this is where I am. I'm ready for you. I love you. You know, I'm here for you whenever you want to talk about this, whatever you need from me, I'm here for you. I'm always going to be here for you. You know, when I was growing up, I had a friend as well, almost similar situation, and he was a real good friend of mine, man. I love this guy, ride or die, but he wasn't good for me. He was a bad influence, right? And he was a bad influence for me. And I remember that day when I told him, I said, hey, look, I love you, Rob, but I can't have you in my life anymore. I said, listen, if you need to get bailed out, I'm the guy to call. I'll be there. I got your back. If you need anything, but if you need somebody to hang out with, I'm not the one. And you know what he said to me? It was kind of really mature. He said, Mario, I got it, brother. He said, you got big things. You're going to do big things in life. He said, I got you. Don't worry about it. And he said, if I do need, I said, promise me if you need me, you'll call me. He said, I promise you if I need you, I'll call you. And I'm telling you guys is that, you know, he went through some tough stuff. He actually went away for a little bit. Real good guy. And, you know, the bottom line was that there was still love present. And then, you know, many years later, we're back in contact, man. And I'm connected with him, and he knows that he's got a brother there who never left him, really, you know. So sometimes it's got to be like, there's just a reality of it, and say, hey, look, I'm here whenever you want me. Just be love, just be open to it, but it doesn't mean that you put yourself in the line of fire, you know. I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, that helps a little, because that's exactly what you said earlier. What comes up for me after, you know, it's a couple people, but just especially one, and you know, what happens immediately, what my flesh wants to do is just take my love away, you know, and then that's been my care of like being my word around that. And then it just comes to a point where it's like, all right, so what do I do? Because then, you know, how do I be my word and not like, you know, I don't know, after a while it just gets confusing. So this helped in that way, I guess.
Yeah, you can. I mean, like, there's what you're creating for your life and the space that you are. By the way, and I didn't get into this, but really being your word, it really is you creating a space where that thing gets to show up for you, where you are it and it shows up for you. When I'm being love, not only am I being love for the other person, but love shows up where I'm at as well. That's how powerful it is. It's the truth. It's like, you know, like Jesus like he's wholeness. He was wholeness. He was health. He was life in his human form. And literally, when the woman with the issue of blood, she came by, touched the hem of his garment, and all of a sudden she's healed. You know, that's what I'm talking. And he says that I could feel it leave me, because the space, he was like literally around him. That's what was present. That's what it pulled for. I'm telling you that when you're love for somebody else, it shows up. Like, love shows up. Like, you get to be love for the person, then they get to be love for you too. Love just shows up. And in fact, you'll see love and you're not even a part of it. And love shows up in that space too. And you're like, what about me?
Yeah,
But it's true. And so
yeah,
with
it
this
does.
person, yes, and I
It
know
does.
you know this.
I have the experience of that.
You are love, Daz, by the way. You have always been love for me. And but what I want to say is about the person that you're talking about specifically in that relationship. I have relationships like that. You be committed to being love in a space where love can show up, and whatever is not love and whatever is not that, it make significant.
Okay.
Uh, with the daughter who was he said was asleep. I remember that. That's brilliant too. We can't take everybody with you. Jonathan says you can't take everybody with you. And it goes there, right? But listen, when they're ready to come into that space, some people aren't ready for that. Some people don't want to live in love at that moment. They don't. And if you're in a space for love, they're not gonna be in your space. It's like literally like a frequency. I don't want to call it that, but it is. It's like some people resonate on the same level as you do. And you got to allow those people who aren't ready to be where you are to come in and out. When they're ready, you're open to having them be there because you are the space for love. And that's what my recommendation for you would be, and that's what I've taken, because not everybody is going to love my way. They're not going to be ready for that. And when they are ready, you'll be ready to embrace them.
I got that. Thank you.
And then you still stand in love is what I recommend. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to push people away. We can have this conversation on the side. But this is what I mean, like, really don't, it's just, it's what's present. It's just for you to be love and let what comes come and let go. You get what I mean? But you still being who you are.
I get that. Thank you, Mario.
No, thank you. Thank you for a great question. Guys, we just came to the end of our call time. I'm going to take one additional minute if it's okay with everybody here. Here we are. We've got our homework, guys. So what we're talking about is actually being what we say that we want in our lives, like really taking it on and committing to being it. So the homework is very simple. Two things. Number one, ask yourself, where have you not been able to fulfill on your word? So like, Des is talking about an area with a friend who she's not been able to fulfill on in that area, like she's not been able to be loved. What I would also say to you, Des, is that there's an area for you to take on, like changing, like being responsible for who you're being with that person, that person shows up that way, right? That's also that we can look at. That's a whole other area, and it's a whole other level of responsibility. So one, look at an area where you haven't been able to fulfill on your word, and number two, in that area, be your word in that area. Be love, be patience, be light, be discipline. Look at your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And when you're in that space of that difficult situation, is what we call quote unquote difficult, where you haven't been able to fulfill on it, be that. Be that thing that you've declared yourself as. And I promise you, if you're always thinking in love, then love can only show up. Hatred can't show up. Nothing else can show up. And if you're speaking words of love, guess what? You can't have words of love coming out of your mouth and words of hate and complaint coming out of your mouth at the same time either. And if you're taking actions of love, at that moment, nothing else is there. There's no space for anything else. So guys, take on being in those areas, and next week we will talk about where you have not been able to fulfill on those areas, where you'll be able to fulfill on them the way that I have in the area of that relationship that I have with my ex, where we were able to create a new relationship out of being love, and being support. Guys, have an amazing, amazing week. Thank you guys for everyone who prayed for me while I was not feeling well. Thank you very much for your prayers. I am feeling a million times better, and I'm recovering very, very well, thanks to your prayers and everybody else. We love you. We'll see you in the next Conversations with God's Great Idea. Bye-bye. Yeah.